I'm Rebecca Beasley, and this is Rebecca Barron with the Cruise Planners, Seas World Travel. We are just getting ready to return home from a Southern Caribbean cruise, and our first port of call was Aruba. So we'd like to talk to you about what we did in Aruba and what we thought about Aruba.
Yeah, I think this is about my 15th country or somewhere around in there I've been to, and I've been to most of the Caribbean ports, but Aruba I think takes the cake for my favorite. Top port out of all the ones I've been to. It's definitely a port that you need to do a short excursion though to really get the full effect of Aruba and to really see the island, because it's when you get away from the port, it's beautiful.
Yes, it was. So we didn't want to do a cruise line tour, so we did a private tour. Not a private tour, a small group tour that was not booked through the cruise line, and it was amazing. I like the small group ones better, and so this was about 7 of us in our group.
Small. I could not recommend this one enough.
And we chose horseback riding, and they take you also to a little a natural swimming hole near the ocean. So they picked us up at the port. They drove us to their ranch. They were amazing people.
Yeah.
They, prepared us, let us know what we were going to be in for, how to do this and that. Over all the safety issues, they had really beautiful horses and very well-behaved horses.
Yeah, the horses were good. And I'm a huge animal person, so I was looking around to see how are they treating these horses and all that. And they had a ton of horses. So these horses, they do 2 tours a day, but the horses only go one time. They don't, it's not the same horse going every time. And I think they even had enough where they get several days in between tours and stuff like that. But it was really clean. The horses,
very well cared for.
Home, I guess, was really nice, and you could tell they were well cared for horses. And they also had a ton of other animals that they rescue dogs that they were nursing back to health and stuff like that. So you could tell they were animal people too, and really taking good care of the animals. And that's important to me if I'm going to do an excursion that involves an animal.
Absolutely. And they were very good, and they were very thorough. I mean, they really make sure you go over all the safety guidelines and waivers and all of those things. But they were really good people. And so it was not this is not a tour for someone who is going to physically have difficulties
or back issues.
Because this is an hour-long horseback ride over extremely rough terrain.
Each way,
yeah. So it's 2 hours
total.
On a horseback over rough terrain, and you're not just walking. There are times that you're trotting, and you actually get up to a canter a couple of times.
Yes.
So it is. Now, I haven't been on a horse in 35 years at least. So I was a little apprehensive, but I actually loved it once I got on the horse. It was absolutely amazing. But it was physically challenging. And but it was, once we got out, first of all, it's a really desert climate there. I don't know, people don't think about that in the Caribbean islands.
I didn't realize it was deserty until I was
deserty.
in it.
It's nothing but cactus and sagebrush. And but instead of, it's all rocks. So you have nothing but rocks and cactus everywhere. And so it was really interesting terrain.
It sounds ugly, but it was beautiful.
It was actually a beautiful terrain. But then once you got out there climbing up on a hill, then all of a sudden you can look back and see the entire island of Aruba. I mean, the view was spectacular. And then you get over another couple hills, then you see the ocean from way up there. It was really great views.
Really beautiful. And I'll say too, on this excursion too, like, you are in full control of your horse. It's not one where they're you're hooked to a guide, or you were in full control of your horse. And I know my horse was a little stubborn a couple of times, and mine was very lazy, they said, and he liked to take shortcuts from time to time, and he definitely did that one time with me. Everybody's going this way on the trail, and my horse is like, oh, this way's faster, I'm gonna go over here, and they definitely, you're in control of your horse. So they do give you a good little lesson though, if you've never ridden a horse, on how to get it to go and get it to turn, and
they had 3 guides with
and how to be in control of it. So if you had an issue, if you're like one horse was staying too slow,
he'd come and so he was always riding up and down the line, making sure everybody was okay. My foot fell out of the stirrup and I couldn't get it back in, so he came and helped me with that. Then you got the lead guide, and then you've got a guide in the back, so they're there with you. But I mean, it's certainly not for the faint of heart, but it was a beautiful way to see the island. And the drive to the ranch, our driver, Lakey was our driver. He talked all about the history of the island.
He's great.
I mean, so the whole ride there and the ride back, we're learning all about
that
Aruba.
Was just bonus.
And he was super, super sweet. So it was a great experience, and we saw a lot of really interesting view of Aruba.
Yeah, I think we saw parts of Aruba that we would not have seen otherwise, and it was really nice. And then also with the only like 7 of us on this excursion, we got a lot of like one-on-one attention, and we really got to know our guides, and that was nice too.
And then we had them recommend, of course, we were exhausted and filthy, and we had them recommend a local restaurant that was, a local place. It was actually called the Driftwood, and the people were so nice there.
They have Aruba people time. Were as hospitable as they could be,
and they're in no rush, wonderful. And they call it Aruba time. Like, we're going to pick you up at 2:10 Aruba time.
It'll be about 2:30.
Yeah, and actually it was there pretty close to 2:10, but they tell you that. But we were. So he had told us where the Driftwood was, and we saw it on the drive back to the port. It wasn't far from the port, but then from where he dropped us off at, we're trying to get back and find it. So we cut through this hotel that's got these 2 valet people out there. Yeah. And so I walked up to the guy and I said, "Can you tell me where the Driftwood is?" That man left that post at the valet, walked us all the way to the Driftwood, walked blocks. Inside, told the maitre d', "Please seat them."
Yeah, I mean,
because we didn't have a reservation, so he said he walked us there to tell the maitre d' to make sure that we got sat.
He could not have been any nicer. I mean, when we asked him, we were just expecting him to point and say, "Go that way, go right, go left." I mean, he walked us.
Well, he asked if we had a reservation, and we said no. He wanted to walk to make sure that they sat us because he goes there all the time.
I mean, the people in Aruba could not have been any more hospitable.
And then the shopping near the port was great. I mean,
a lot of shopping.
There was a lot of shopping opportunities, a lot of different places to see, kind of locals as well as your bigger stores. But it wasn't too commercialized, actually.
No, not bad. And there was a good little area of like the little local market too.
Right.
And the prices, Aruba probably had the best prices out of anywhere we went. They weren't horribly
They weren't
overpriced.
Unreasonable. So, yes, Aruba by far is probably one of my favorite ports of call. I mean, I like Ocho Rios. So I have to say that I don't know if it would be my favorite, but
it's at the top of the list.
It was certainly at the top of the list. And, I recommend doing some kind of small group excursion where you can explore the island because it's really amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely one that you need to get outside of the port because the port's really nice, but the island is just beautiful. And if you don't get outside the port,
and it's so unique.
And it was very safe too. I mean, like you said, their crime rate was practically nothing. Yeah. And so that was good too.
So yeah.